Okay, so in our last lesson, what we learned, we used as an example a friend of yours in France who um, was asking you how hot are summers here in East Tennessee. And you say, well, yeah, I can get up to 95. And she freaks out, thinking that you're talking about 95 degrees Celsius. You were talking about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. You do realize that 95 degrees Celsius is very close to the boiling point of water, which is 100. You would be dead. Everyone would be dead if we reached 95 degrees Celsius. So, what she considers a hot day is about temperatures in the 40s. That's a really, really hot day. Temperatures don't get in the 50s on Earth. So, it might be important to be able to learn how to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit and from Fahrenheit back. What unit is used for temperature in science? It is Celsius. It is Celsius. Why is Celsius used? Because water is the most important liquid. It is the most important chemical known to man. Water freezes at 0 and boils at 100 degrees Celsius. If you want to use Fahrenheit, you would have to remember 32 and 212, which is a whole lot harder than remembering 0 and 100. Okay, so now you understand why we use Celsius. It's just easier, especially when the fact that you're dealing with water most of the time. Now, what is the official unit of the Système International, the international system? It is Kelvin. It is Kelvin. And Kelvin is very powerful because you can't have any negative numbers. Celsius, you can go below 0. You can get colder than freezing point of water. Antarctica is normally colder than 0. But in the Kelvin scale, you cannot go below 0. 0 means no energy. 0 energy. It's called absolute 0 or absolute temperature. Because Kelvin does not have any negative numbers, it'll be very useful to us to deal with Kelvin when we deal with the gas laws. All right, so how do you convert from F to C? It's real easy. Add 40, divide by 1.8, and subtract 40. And converting Celsius to Fahrenheit is the same first and last step. The number 1.8 is even the same. Okay? But whereas you divide to find Celsius, you multiply to find F, Fahrenheit. Okay, now it can be kind of confusing to try to remember, well, should I multiply or divide? I got the whole 40 minus 40, got it. I know I have to do something with 1.8. Okay, should I multiply or divide? Okay, here's my analogy for helping you to remember that. Celsius always loses. So we have a track, and the race is between F and Celsius. So here is the starting line. I'm going to put Celsius in the starting line. Let me tell you, F is about 1.8 times faster than Celsius. And just to make things interesting, I'm going to allow F to get a head start. So, who's going to win this race? Knowing that F is faster than Celsius, and I'm going to give F a 32-meter head start. Okay, there is no way that Celsius will ever catch up to F. F will win every race. So I use that to remind myself, if I'm going from F to C, I'm F. Where am I going to find Celsius? Behind me. Behind me. So I will need to divide in order to make the number smaller. If I'm going from Celsius to Fahrenheit, if I'm Celsius, where should I find Fahrenheit? Ahead of me, further along. So whatever temperature I am, I'm going to have to multiply by 1.8 in order to find Fahrenheit, because Fahrenheit will always be a bigger number. So if you go to Celsius, you divide to make the number smaller. If you go to Fahrenheit, you multiply in order to make the number bigger. Let's practice. F to C. Add 40, subtract 40, and Celsius is always losing, so Celsius is the smaller one, so to make a number smaller, you divide. All right, let's try it. 98 plus 40. 98 plus 40 is 138. Divide by 1.8. Is 77. Subtract 40. I can do that in my head. Oops. Is 37 degrees. Is the number smaller than the F? Yep, I did it right. I did it right. Remember, Celsius is always a smaller number. Let's try this one. All right, you are in Celsius. Are you looking ahead to Fahrenheit or behind? Is Fahrenheit ever going to lose to you? No. Fahrenheit will always win. So you are expected to make a bigger number than 25. So, first step is always the same. Add 40. Now, to make it bigger, do you multiply or divide by 1.8? You multiply. 65 times 1.8 is 117. Final step, subtract 40. .77 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a bigger number, which is what you were expecting. All right, you are F, 77. And where is Celsius? Yes, Celsius is behind you. So you should expect this to be a smaller number. So, once again, add 40. To make it smaller, do you multiply or divide? You divide. Last step, subtract 40. One more. You're going to Celsius, to Fahrenheit. Are you expecting a bigger number or a smaller number? Bigger. So, step number 1, add 40. Step number 2, to make it bigger, do you multiply or divide? Multiply. Last step, subtract 40. 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So when it gets to be close to 0, it gets cold for us. Yep. It gets cold for us. All right. So why do we use Kelvin instead of Celsius? Because there are no negative numbers with Kelvin. None. 0 is as cold as anything can get. How do we do this? Well, it's actually kind of easy. If you remember our racetrack here, once again, poor Celsius is always starting at the starting line. How about if I tell you some good news for Celsius? If you're Celsius, here's your good news. Kelvin is just as fast as you are. Yay, you are not, it's not like Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit was just faster than you are. But Kelvin is not faster than you are. Kelvin is just as fast as you are. That's the good news. The bad news is Kelvin starts 273 meters ahead of you. Yep, that's right. You're always going to lose. If you're a Celsius, you will always lose. You're a loser. Yep, 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 yep. So Kelvin is always 273 bigger than you. So convert Kelvin to Celsius. Kelvin will always look back and find you 273 meters behind. So you subtract 273. To convert Celsius to Kelvin, you're Celsius. You want to find Kelvin? Look 273 meters ahead of you. That's where he will be. All right, so 300 Kelvin. You're the winner. And where's Celsius? Celsius is behind you. 300 minus 273 is 27 degrees Celsius. That's it. It's that easy. How about 35 degrees Celsius to Kelvin? You're Celsius. You're losing the race. Where's Kelvin? Ahead of you. By how much? By 273. So, 35 plus 273 is 308 Kelvin. 293, Kelvin to Celsius. You're Kelvin. You're at 293. Where's Celsius? Behind you. Behind you. 293 minus 273 is 20 degrees Celsius. Okay? That's it. That's it for now.